What is sports? Let's go.
Hello and welcome everyone. Week 4, our second edition here at Come On In Sports. We got SSBills Talk. Lawrence Foster alongside Dr. Dungan. We are here kind of riding high off our predictions of what happened last week. We knew what was going to happen. We kind of called it down to a T, but 4-0, only 2 teams in the NFL can say that. So how are we feeling after the first quarter of the season?
I mean, I thought that this is where we would be, in our preseason sort of, picking the schedule. I thought 4-0 is where we'd be. I don't like how we've gotten to 4-0. This would have loved to beaten some teams a little bit more handily than we did, but can't complain. A win's a win.
Oh, we can complain and we shall.
And we will.
Don't tempt me with a good time. But we called last week of like if the Saints were going to keep it close, they're going to be able to run the ball. They were going to be able to. Well, we would probably have a lull, which we do almost every game, and that's what happened. And really, it took a fantastic play and kind of a boneheaded play call by the Saints to kind of give the momentum back to us when the Saints could have very easily taken the lead at the end of the first half. So I say we start there. Just the defense overall, but then we've been talking about Bishop and Rapp not making plays. He made a big one. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, they highlighted it on the broadcast, but if you watched Bishop, he saw that play coming all the way, and good on him. He didn't get caught up in the wash. He sort of did his job. Again, he saw it coming and made an incredible play. Really athletic, and so that's sort of what we've hoped to see out of him, just because he was always touted as this really intelligent, just a football guy. And given how many years we had of Hyde and Poyer, just especially Hyde, the instincts that he had, just knowing where the ball was going, he could just feel the flow, right? And granted, that's one play, but I'm hoping that's sort of a sign of things to come, where players, they start to let the game, it slows down. What do they say, that letting the game come to them, and they're anticipating, right, versus reacting. So overall, I thought he was a bright spot on the day.
It definitely was, and like a young guy who hasn't played much, just him making less and less mistakes every week. Hopefully, that's a sign. But the game started off as good as we could have hoped.
Yep.
The Bills had the drive. Shakir had what he does best, breaking tackles, long touchdown catch.
Yeah, it was nasty.
The Bills defense does what they generally do in the first drive or two, just let a team do whatever they want on the scripted plays. The offense comes right back and answers the touchdown drive. But I want you to talk about after that, for like a quarter and a half, just the Bills could not get out of their own way. What do you think the main culprit, because that has happened every game so far this year, where there's about a quarter where we just have no rhythm offensively. So what do you see as the cause of that?
I think it started with them getting away from what was working. What worked on those first couple drives was cook, pass, cook. This nice rhythm of alternating run and pass, not getting behind the sticks. And then we just went away from that. Now, granted, you and I both said that we really would like them to open up the offense some, but it does come down to, if your running back is getting 5 to 7 yards a carry, and in a way, at times it seems almost effortlessly, why go away from it? Because it was that drive, right, where Josh had his first turnover of the season. Just first, I mean, that's I'm so glad that this year and last year, it's sort of like we can say that 5 games in of Josh's first turnover of the year. But that drive, right, they were all like deep shots downfield, and that's what the it just wasn't effective. Again, we've complained some about the play calling and that it's so close to the line of scrimmage, but we complain when it's not working, right? And typically it doesn't work. Typically those pass plays like what Shakir took the house, those usually don't do that. Those usually get a yard or two.
Yeah.
And so it was working. Cook was running well, and then that drive came, and that just sort of, as you said, it just shifted momentum. And there was a strong chance that we were going to go into halftime losing, and which is why that play by Bishop was so important, because it was not only saved or kept 7 points off the board, but as you said, it kept momentum on our side. So that's just what I think it was, where Brady, for whatever reason, he just starts to change it up, right? And yeah, he just went away from what was working.
It always seems to be like we scored every touchdown first drive every game this year. It seems to be like after the scripted stuff, he's like, he loses it. He's like, oh man, like maybe they figured us out. Like you and I were saying during the game, like just do what you're doing until they stop it. Like,
Yeah,
don't stop it yourself. Like I know I was thinking like Madden, like you spam the same play. Well, until the AI figures out how to stop it, keep running it. So until the defense figures out how to stop it, don't stop it yourself. Keep doing what's working. Who cares if you're creative or not?
yeah.
And I think Philadelphia is taking that to the extreme of, okay, like Jalen Hurts didn't complete a pass in the second half and they won. No second half completion and they won a game. The Eagles have figured out like they don't care how they win. Yeah, sure, some of the receivers might, but they've adopted the mindset of whatever it takes to win. If we have to run it 35 times with 15 tush pushes. So I think Brady needs, and the Bills in general need to get into that mindset of who cares if Josh isn't like throwing for 400 yards. If Cook is having a day like he was yesterday, just keep feeding him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Lawrence, it's not the Bills that just do that. I mean, Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not to get off topic, but like Derrick Henry was doing work in the first quarter there, and then he finished with 8 carries, I think, which is lunacy. Like, why would you go away from Derrick Henry? So, I mean, he isn't the only one that does it, but unfortunately, I think it doesn't pan out more often than it does. Okay, clearly they're having trouble stopping the run. Okay, then make them do it. Make them stack the box. And when they were, we never, like, for me, we never do like intelligent play action passes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we've been running the ball down their throat. It's, either 1st and 10 after we've just been running it, do it then, or it's 2nd and short. Like at times it just doesn't make any sense of where, again, like I feel like Brady is so like he's playing 4D chess, but he's the only one that's actually playing it. And so he like outthinks himself or something. But yeah, I just think, he just went away too early, and that's what sort of, slowed everything down for a while.
And you talk about like going away from things, like the first few drives, Keon Coleman was getting separation. Keon Coleman was getting open. And then what happened to him the rest of the game? Where was Kincaid? Like, he wasn't targeted till that touchdown catch he had. Like,
right.
Like all these players, like, and then Josh Palmer, I don't know if you saw his snap percentage was like 25%. He was on the field for 25% of the plays, and that's who Bean was talking to their partners. Oh, don't worry about wide receiver. We signed Josh Palmer. The dude played 25% of the plays. So to me, it kind of reminds me last year when they traded for Cooper, and then he only played like 45%. Like, does Bean not know how to like scout NFL receivers, and they keep getting the wrong guys to bring in? Just to me, it's just weird about like all these guys they bring in to help the offense and Josh. Like they barely even see the field, less than 50%.
Yeah, I mean, and then it just, I honestly don't think it's a Bean thing. I think it's more of a Brady thing. It's just like our offense, it's not the same way as it was with a Daboll. right? Like it is nothing but it is mostly short game, screen passes, and the occasional deep shot when we need to. Whereas with Dable, I thought it was much different. Right? I thought it was essentially at any point in time, right? We were going to go deep, and it was just the only problem with that was that we didn't have an actual run game.
Yeah.
So, in a way, it's sort of, I don't know. Maybe we're looking for things to complain about, right? Because not only have we won 4 in a row, but we've also scored 30 or more points 4 games in a row. And so the offense clearly isn't broken. It's just like we see so much that's left on the field, points that could have been had. And I just worry that on a day that we need them, we're just not going to be able to get them because Brady's going to call a bad game.
And I think that could happen sooner than later. Like, just you hit the team at like a New England or Atlanta, both of they seem like they're hitting their stride these next few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. But the offense, I want to stick there. Spencer Brown missed his first game he played all of them last year. Oh, he missed one last year at the end of the year, but that doesn't count. Spencer didn't play, and you saw a big difference. I think I saw a big difference. I think anyone who's watched the Bills all year saw a difference. Talk about that, like just like when the impact of Spencer Brown not playing kind of seemed like when that lull started to take place, like where Vandermark was just getting beat so often, where like Josh almost threw a second pick because of it after the first one. So just talk about that. We've kind of taken for granted how good the offensive line is. And you saw what happens, like even when we thought they had decent backups, what happens when one of them goes down.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vandermark was fine as that sort of 6th offensive lineman, but Cam Jordan was having his way with him for much of the game. I don't think it's any surprise whatsoever that Josh was sacked 2 times, 3 times. I mean, he had constant pressure on him, and it was mostly coming from that right side. And so I think we talked about this last week, but again, it just highlights like how little depth we actually have. Like offensive linemen get hurt all the time. We've been fortunate in that, most of our guys have not missed any time last year and just a little bit this year. But if that injury bug that bit our corners and receivers in the preseason comes around, and heaven forbid Dion has to miss and Spencer, that's, I mean, good luck, right? Like we're going to be in deep trouble. So that I think is the number one problem on the team. It's not the play calling, even though that could be better. It's just at every position, the amount of depth, except for the defensive line. I think we have decent depth there. But basically everywhere else, if somebody goes down, the man that fills in, the drop off in talent is so big.
I think about, imagine if we had what happened to the Chargers, who lost Slater, and now Alt's going to be out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if that happened to us, how screwed we would be if both tackles are somehow gone. And you're going to see what happens to the Chargers now. Like they lost to the Giants because Alt got hurt in the first quarter. And then what happened? Herbert and the offense looked the worst they have all year.
Yeah. No, it would be the exact same thing. Which is also why I can't help but think that, they're keeping Ed and Milano out a little bit longer than they need to, just because they don't want to put them back in and risk them getting hurt. They want them 100% healthy. So when we're facing, Kansas City, or I mean, as you mentioned, the New England this week, right? Like they may look pretty good, and they always seem to keep it tight with us. So I wouldn't be surprised if those guys actually play this week.
Yeah. Then we only talk about Bishop. Going to the defensive side of things, my goodness, like just the most concerning thing to me is just they talk about how Spencer Rattler saw what quarterbacks had done, and who thinks of him as a running quarterback? He said to the announcers, like they were talking about in the game, he said like he was kind of excited to be able to run, and look what he did against the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
to me, like, he's not even one of those, like, so I imagine this week Drake May is going to be licking his chops at a chance to break Dorian Williams down, to get Bosa on the edge, who's as good as Bosa's played. He just lost contain so many times. So just talk about that and just how the Bills do it all the time to other teams, but so far this year, every quarterback we face has had those back breaking. Like, how did they just convert that first down running?
Yeah. Now you mentioned it with Dorian Williams, Cam Lewis. I mean, there was numerous times where guys we are not great in the open field. There's only a handful of guys on the team. I mean, Bernard was out of position constantly. And so no, it really is where nowadays essentially every starting quarterback has the ability to run and move around. It just seems as though like we turn our backs and there are these huge lanes all the time, and our defensive ends are not disciplined enough to maintain. So yeah, it is an enormous concern because we've, as you and I have watched many times over the years, those back-breaking 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 12s, where the quarterback just gets out. And I know that our guy is one of the most lethal when it comes to it, but he hasn't done it a ton lately because I can't help but think that teams have sort of like they're not going to let him do that all that often, right? And it just seems like we don't prepare for it. It still seems as though, Lawrence, that McDermott approaches defense as we bend, but we don't break. Okay, we'll get you close, but we'll hold you to field goals, or we'll hopefully get a turnover or something. And it just is so maddening. Even against the bad offenses, we still cannot force consistent 3-and-outs. Against the Jets, right? That was like the only thing. But yeah, I now honestly believe that this game on Sunday, this is a losable game for us.
Oh, easily it is. Like, it's on paper now. Like, all right, the Bills don't put anybody on the quarterback, and May is a much more a bigger threat running the ball, I would think, than Radler is.
Mm-hmm.
And then Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson, if they're not fumbling the ball, so, and Vrabel's the type of coach that's going to be like, okay, it'll be, to me, I could see them doing the hurricane type, that huge win game where we lost to the Patriots with Mac throwing 3 passes.
Yeah.
Vrabel's the type of coach like he will make us stop the run. He will, like, he's like, okay, if we're averaging 4.5 yards a carry, let's run it 3 straight times. Stop us, I dare you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is concerning. And in reality, New England had 5 turnovers and lost by a touchdown to Pittsburgh. And a couple of them, like Stevenson's half a foot away from scoring a touchdown. So we're just like 1 or 2 hold on to the ball plays of this being a game for first place in the division. Because like they would be sitting at 1 loss if they hadn't turned the ball over 5 times against Pittsburgh. So I guess we can move on from the Saints game to looking ahead to this week, which I think is a pretty big one because the Patriots are riding high. They just completely destroyed the Panthers. The Bills, the last 2 games against inferior opponents, have looked kind of lethargic for a lot of it. So we talked about it last week, how the Bills could lose. How could it happen this week?
Well, I think this week, sort of as you alluded to, it's much more likely because I think Drake May is a better passer than Spencer Rattler. I do think that the weapons that they have aren't awesome, but as you mentioned, doesn't stop them from putting up 40+ points. So as it always does, right? I think it's just going to hinge on the defense. I have no concerns with the offense. They'll be able to score 28 to 35 points. I think that's pretty much a given almost nowadays. It's just when we get them into 3rd and long, 3rd and medium, can we get off the field? And I'm at a point now where I just assume that they're going to get it. Even if it's like 3rd and 15, I'm just like someone's going to do something stupid. Someone's going to hold, or they're not. There's going to be a blown coverage.
Mhm.
And given the fact that May is pretty accurate, I think what's going to be most likely is that they're going to have some big pass plays down the field. Even though, again, they don't have any like real deep threat receivers, I don't think. I just have a feeling that there's going to be a miscommunication in the secondary more than once, and we're just going to be like, there's a 75-yard touchdown.
And that really hasn't happened this year where the Bills have been even threatened down the field.
Well, they will this week.
That's what I mean. So, like, we don't even know how they're going to do because it hasn't happened.
Mm-hmm.
And you figure Stephon Diggs is going to want to have a I don't want to even see Mac Hollins do anything in his stupid antics. You and I were tired of it last year with him and his stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking forward to that. I'll tell you what I'm worried about is the Patriots special teams have scored a lot of touchdowns. Their punt returner had a kick return touchdown against the Dolphins a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Their punt returner had one this week, and then it was a punter trip away from a second touchdown return in it. And we think about the Bills special teams not being all that great.
Right.
So to me, I think that's where the tide could turn in their favor is. So is this a game where the Bills are like, we've seen what they've done. Let's just boot it out of the end zone on kickoffs, give them the ball at the 35. And my gosh, like I know the punter got hurt and props to him for coming back for holding on the field goal, but they got to get more out of the punter position too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It has come, I'm sorry, it hasn't haunted us, but I have a feeling that we're not far away from a time where we're going to wish that we had put Ariza on the commissioner's exempt list, or we had re-signed Corey Horquez. Like both of those guys have booming legs, especially Horquez.
Yeah.
Letting him walk didn't seem to make any sense unless in some arrogance we're just like, well, we don't punt much anyways, so who needs a kicker like that or a punter like that? And you know what? You don't need them until you do. And it comes to the point now where, a team like Kansas City, right? Like talk like what a weapon he is. If they're, pinned back at their own 20 or 30, all of a sudden he booms it. So you know what? Now we've just flipped field and you're at your own 15. Yeah, no, that honestly, it didn't really bother me much earlier in the year, but at times when the offense struggles and we're giving the other team the ball at their own 40, their own 50, because our punter isn't very good, it's concerning because teams like Kansas City or when we play Philly or when we play, like the better teams, they're going to capitalize, they're going to kill us.
Yeah, but the Saints had like 4 or 5 drives starting on our half of the field.
And that's what I'm saying, right?
So yeah, like the good offense, like you give the Ravens that, they're not going to put up 19 points.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, to me that's very concerning. This is a big one. I like the Falcons game. I'm like, if we lose, okay, it's NFC. But to me, this is a big one for the Bills to win, to keep that just aura of okay, the East is ours.
Mm-hmm.
They'll give us a win against each divisional opponent. And then, hold on, we got a uneducated sports. Thanks for the comment. Yes, we're glad to be here on Come On In Sports Network, SSBills Talk, Lawrence Foster with Dr. Dungan. So yes, thank you, Uneducated Sports Talk. That's one of the Come On In Sports Network's other personalities. So thank you so much. That is Carlos. Thank you, Carlos. Carlos, he does a weekly betting session that he talks about on a pregame, and he has won all but one of the bets he's predicted. So if you've been following Carlos, you made a little bit of bank this year thus far with his over-unders.
Nice.
Yeah. But anyway, Bills Patriots. I know this is a Bills show, but I do want to talk a little bit about the rest of the conference and then how it relates to the Bills. I thought at the beginning of the year, like when you look at the schedule, it was shaping up for the Bills. All right, this is the year to get the number 1 seed.
Mhm.
My goodness, like the way the first 4 weeks have panned out, the Chiefs at 2-2, the Ravens at 1-3, Joe Burrow's out for most of the year. The Colts and Jaguars are leading the South. Like if the Bills don't get the number 1 seed this year, is it ever going to happen with Josh Allen?
I mean, I don't think so, right? Because it usually doesn't shake out like this, and our schedule isn't overly challenging, right? Like without butt fumbling it, right? Like we should legitimately be 7-0 by the time we have to play Kansas City, right? And so yeah, no, if we don't do it this year, then I really I don't know. And ultimately though, if I'm being completely honest, what does it matter? Right?
I would
Like,
like a playoff stress-free weekend of just watching the playoffs and the
but
Bills
yeah,
are
I
playing.
mean, like Josh doesn't lose week one. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't, or not week one, but he doesn't lose the first round of the playoffs. And as it's been so far, whenever we play Kansas City, it doesn't matter where we are, whether we're at our place, their place, we still lose. And so I get it. It'd be nice to be the number 1 seed. But on the flip side, how crushing would it be if we have to play Kansas City and we lose again and we don't even get 1 win in the postseason? So honestly, I just get in. Right? I prefer to be the 2 seed. I think that's a good spot. But yeah, if we don't,
Maybe we get the 1 seed, and then if we're not going to win the Super Bowl, losing the first game is finally what gets McDermott fired. Silver lining.
yeah, I guess so. But can you imagine they fire McDermott and they promote Joe Brady?
Oh God,
Oh,
that'd be the
that would
worst.
be awful. I honestly am hoping that the Giants suck, so they fire Brian Dable, and I take him as either the head coach or OC.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I just felt like the offense was just so. And I will freely admit that I think we're conflating a couple, or I am, because Josh really wasn't that well of a known product, and so people didn't quite know how to defend him those first couple years when he was putting up those huge numbers.
Yeah,
But I also do think that he is a much better OC than Joe Brady.
yeah. I mean, McDaniels is an OC I'd be all right with.
Heck yeah.
If he doesn't have to be the one talking to everybody every week, and he's just there being his crazy self, drawing plays up, cool.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that. It's him in charge is just not. It's not a good look. You don't
No.
look like a professional organization.
Yeah. Gosh. Tyreek's knee. Ugh.
Yeah, that injury yesterday when we have a friend who's a Dolphins fan. I texted him all I did was that was ugly.
Well,
The announcers are they even watching anything? As soon as that replay zoomed in, I'm like, oh, and they didn't even say anything about it. I'm like, cut the interview you have with McDaniels off. This dude's leg is just. At first, I thought it was just I saw the ankle. I'm like, oh man, that's like a Dak one.
yeah.
Then I saw the replay. I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah.
I thought he dislocated his hip.
And for him, so he's one of those guys which I don't know, and I will freely admit that I am biased from his off the field stuff, but I don't think he's a lock to make the Hall of Fame. I think that stuff matters when it comes to voting someone in. Once you're in, you're in. That's why O.J. Simpson hasn't been kicked out, because once you're in, you cannot be voted out. But I just think that with Tyreek and so many of these accusations, and just him beating his kids and his wife and whomever else he can get his hands on, I think he still needs at least one more really good season to be a lock. And this major knee injury, he tore his ACL and a bunch of other ligaments. He's going to be 32 next year. And so, one, I think it's a near guarantee that Miami trades him. And two, I think with Tyreek, he's really going to try to go probably back to Kansas City, because he's won a Super Bowl already. but it's that Hall of Fame that I truly think he needs another great season to be a lock to
I mean,
make it.
and anybody trading for Tyreek is going to be like, man, we're going to save a lot having to get him now, because like he was having like the last few games, Tyreek was kind of being himself again.
Mhm.
So now coming off, like you said, this huge injury, like it's not going to take much to get him. The Dolphins are going to be ready to go.
Yeah.
But like for somebody who's all about the speed and quickness, like who are you going to get next year? Like this injury, I can't imagine him coming back and like a year from now, he's like, all right, I'm the old Tyreek.
No, definitely not. But the other big thing is going to be how much money he makes.
Yeah.
Who's going to go and pay that for a 32-year-old receiver coming off a major knee injury with some off the field issues, making $30 million a year?
That's a good segue back to the Bills of what do you think is going to go on with Maxwell Harrison? He's eligible now to open his window to return.
Mhm.
Doesn't seem like they're there yet. You started to see Strong come in and actually take series away from Trey this week.
Mhm.
So just the cornerback 2 position, just overall thoughts on that, because a lot of that game, like Trey was starting like, man, we understand why we let him go a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's tough to watch just because we were there when he was drafted. We saw how great of a player he could be and was, right? But just this last few years, and again, with him, I can't help but imagine those major knee and or leg injuries that he had, they catch up to you. Man, like I won't go into the biology, but there's a biologic reason for which, like, once you have these injuries, one, you're at an increased risk to get it again, but two, where you'll just never be the same player. I mean, look at a guy like OJ Howard, right? He had that major injury, was just never the same guy. And so, to get to your question, I think that just like with Ed and Milano, they're overly cautious. They'll never rush a player back. They'd likely, take longer than what they need. I think that's what they did with Trey when he tore his ACL. Like he was supposed to be ready early season, and why he didn't come back to like November, like week 11 or 12 or something. So I just think that's just their MO of just they always will give you a couple extra weeks beyond what you actually need. Two, I think the fact that Strong is playing pretty well makes it so they don't need to rush him back, or at least they don't feel as though they need to rush him back. Trey's playing at an average corner level. I would say, yes. Does he get burnt and miss tackles from time to time? Yes. But also, does he make some good plays and get some pass breakups? Also, yes. So I think he's playing at an average level, and with Strong coming on and playing pretty well, I just don't think that they want to rush Maxwell back. But that being or the third thing is that Maxwell's injury was worse than they had originally indicated, for which it's some combination of all of that more than likely. But again, granted, we're entering now the 5th week of the NFL season, and he hurt this thing, a few weeks prior to the start of the regular season, and so it's coming on like almost 2 months since this happened. So if it was just a sprain, he would have been back by now, or if it was a mild sprain. But this was likely something a bit more where they're just being cautious.
The Bills haven't even. He didn't even get to play a preseason game.
No,
we've never seen Maxwell Harrison suit up in a Bills uniform to play any sort of game.
Yeah.
And staying on cornerback, the start of the year, Christian Benford has not been. I don't think he's been what he was in the years past.
Nope.
He's been lucky a few times to have drops on him. So, I mean, is there any – I know he's had the concussions, and he came off that one last year at the end of the year. Like, is there any concern with you how he's played 4 weeks into his contract extension?
Lawrence, I'm concerned with all three guys on the defensive side of the ball that we extended, because all three of them have played subpar to what they did last year, and 4 games in have not, in my opinion, earned that contract extension between Greg, Bernard and Benford, like you had mentioned, it just we're not getting the same player that we thought that we had last year. And what we had said last week, I think, is really true in that every one of those players, we all said they took a deal, right? Like we got them on a deal. But you know what? Did we? I don't think we did. I think they got paid exactly what they were worth. In that, us as Bills fans and, because they're part of the Bills team, we value them more than another team would.
Mm,
But yeah, when it comes to Benford, what is going to happen again when he has to line up across from Hollywood Brown or Xavier Worthy, or at this point, Rashee Rice will be back and ready to go. Is he going to, like, if called upon, can he lock somebody down?
yeah.
I mean, the defense across the board, right? I could talk about him. I could you pick a position and we could talk and say like why that's a concern.
Greg is concerning to me. And you could argue in like the last 2 years, like, all right, Von Miller wasn't who he was. Bosa's having a really good start to the year.
Mhm.
So he has somebody on this other side taking some attention away. And the Saints offensive line, the Dolphins who are playing essentially all backups, Greg has done nothing against these guys with attention being paid to Bosa. So to me, that's really concerning. Of like, I don't even remember him making it always used to be all right. At least Greg's making plays in the running game. I don't remember him doing much of anything. Period. It's like he's invisible.
Yeah. So based on his numbers so far this year, if you look at like the ESPN projection, he's projected to have 2.1 sacks, so 2 sacks and 34 tackles.
Yeah, and big
That
extension.
is awful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they signed him to a let's get it before he blows up, but they also that's why like you said, Greg took it like I might not blow up and I'm never going to get this deal. If he went to the offseason like and those were his stats you just read off for his projection, he's not getting anywhere near the contract we paid him. And the only thing I was like, he's still young. Like he reminds me of Tremaine of like he's been in the league so long you forget how young he is.
Sure.
But it's very disappointing. Then Bernard, I feel like he is reliant on another linebacker with him. Him and Milano play a lot different when it's Dorian Williams. I don't know if he's playing less aggressive because he knows he has to make up for what's going on with Dorian. But to me, I would make the move at this point of, all right, Shaq Thompson, go in and at least you're not going to make stupid plays like Dorian does at this point.
Yeah. No, there's all these things, right, for which, again, it's just speculation on our end. And, I hadn't even thought of what you just said, but yeah, it could be because he too is a very instinctual player. At least in his first 4 years on the Bills, it just seemed as though or 3 years, I forget. But like he just knows where the balls is going to be. That's why he's made so many splash plays. But if you're concerned with what you got going on behind you and with guys not being in the right place, you can't afford to take risks. You can't, jump out in front of a pass because if you miss and you're wrong, that's a touchdown. So yeah, actually, again, I hadn't thought of that, but we can't count that out.
Yeah. So, but I was talking to a few people and like the Bills' bad game is still a 30 points win by double digits thing. And like, so as frustrated as I get, I try to keep telling myself how many teams in the NFL would take our quote unquote bad games this year. We won by 12 against the Saints, put up 31, won against 10 against Miami, 30 points.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Bills' bad is still pretty darn good. And that's just, I think we've gotten spoiled of like what Josh and his team can be of And it just like we got to remember, like the other team gets paid too. Like they're prideful people, and the Bills are one of the teams that like they get up for. We are those, like we used to get pumped like when we would beat like Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Like that was like our game of the year. So the Bills get that effort from every team, and it's hard for them. I remember watching a Bills yearbook back in the day, like when they're going 13-3 in the Super Bowl, and they got beat. Mark Kelso was interviewed, and he's like, it's hard to week. He said it's hard to get up for the game every single week when you are as good as they are, and you're getting every team's best. And I always remember that even as a kid, like him saying that of like I was like, how would it be hard to get up? Like it's football, but like you're doing it every week. It's every job gets monotonous at some point.
Sure.
So, and that's just the NFL. Like that's why there's only been one undefeated team. It's really it's hard to get that energy every single time. And I got it like at least like McDermott says in the postgame, props to them for always turning it around this year and like getting the win, finding what to do and making it happen. Trying to be silver lining, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, that is yeah. Good job, Lawrence.
Yeah, a little bit at the end of our 40-minute podcast, we have a little bit of positivity here.
I mean, I don't feel all that positive. Like, sure, a win's a win, but like, dang.
No, the defense is not going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like we should have had 3 games like the Jets, or at least 2. Like the game yesterday on Sunday. Like, there's no reason Spencer Rattler should have been able to run around and then put up all those points. Like, there's no reason for it.
Did you? I don't know if you watch any of the all 22 from Cover 1.
No, I didn't.
He made it more frustrating. He showed the plays and like the Bills are there to make the stupid tackles. They just keep missing.
Mm-hmm.
Alvin Kamara had 3 runs of 10+ yards. Every single one of them, Bosa was sucked inside and beat outside. If he just has his outside contained like he's supposed to, those runs don't happen.
Mm-hmm.
The big the touchdown run that Kendre Miller had early, Taron Johnson missed a tackle 1 yard past the line of scrimmage, bounced off his hip. And he's like, Taron Johnson is one of the leaders of this team. So I like watching those. Like when you hear Bernard after the game say, we're missing tackles, it's like what we're missing is correctable. Bernard said after the game, it's people not doing their gap. He said people weren't doing their jobs. And then you see that tape, like, okay, he's not just, like sometimes it'll be like, oh, we can correct this. Then you see it like, yeah, if this guy just stays where he's supposed to, that lane is filled, that hole is filled. And to me, hopefully that happened. Like these 2 defensive linemen coming in off suspension, hopefully that's going to be, like Sanders at this point, he needs to become inactive once these 2 guys become, like he's done nothing. Walker is by far the better player.
Sanders, dude. Let's not even, oh my gosh. Yes, yeah. You're right. Walker has been a bright spot. If you want to talk about a silver lining, at least there's that. He's made a bunch of plays. And so and I think you had talked about it like a while ago, but had he come out last year, he would have been a first round pick. And so, yeah, I'm really excited for him. But yeah, Sanders came up 2.
Yeah, moving up for him, and he's done nothing.
Yeah, but as you said, they're young guys, and I don't want to get myself all worked up thinking about this stuff because, boy, outside of Josh Allen and a handful of other guys, Bean cannot draft defense.
No, and I don't know. He can't do defense, period, really. Think of all the money and resources the last 3 to 4 years been poured into that side of the ball.
Yeah.
And every single year, what's the unit that ends up just letting the Bills down?
Yeah.
Defense. But quickly before we end, prediction for Sunday night.
So if this was on the road, I would likely predict us to to lose a close one. But I just think that our home field advantage is one of the true home field advantages, where not only is it really, really loud, we see a lot of pre-snap penalties on other teams, especially in these big games. But I really do think that our team, they feed off the energy of the crowd. And so we similar to this one, the against the Saints. I think we'll go into halftime down 3 or 4 points, but I think we do end up winning by double digits.
Double-digit victory again coming from you. I'll take the win route as well, but it's going to be a nail biter. Either we have to stop them from tying the game, or we have the ball like with a chance to close it out, like with a slim lead.
Mm-hmm.
I just New England always plays us tough, no matter who the coach is.
Yeah,
they're coming off a high, and they have a lot of people that like Matt Collins, Diggs, who definitely want to just again stick it to Buffalo. But the Bills do win, I think, get to 5-0. Like, we do have a big home field advantage. And then a Monday night matchup to follow against the Falcons.
Yeah. For those of you doing fantasy, I take Bijan Robinson.
I'm going to take one of the Patriots running backs this week for sure.
Yeah, but it's hard to know which one. Is he
that's
like fantasy and stuff? All this stupid double or like multi-back sets, you're ruining it for us. All right, have your workhorse and sprinkle in a little bit of somebody else. That's why I'm glad we're pretty much just letting Cook be the running back workhorse now. One, because he's just better than everybody else, and two, it makes it easier for fantasy. If I'm going to take Cook, I know that he's going to get 80 to 90% of the carries.
And just before we end, to go off that, like the two to like that run, like when we didn't get it on fourth down with that stupid toss to Shakir, but the two plays previous to that, Ty Johnson is lowering his head and just ramming into bodies instead of looking. And again, sometimes I hate watching the all 22. There was a lane to cut back on, and what does James do really well? He sees those lanes and makes his way to them.
Yeah.
So like the two plays in a row, like, oh, we can give Cook a break. He probably gets the first down. Then Ray Davis gets stood up after 2 yards. Like, you can't make one guy miss or push the pile, Ray.
I mean, he's a small man. I mean, Cook's not a monster, but Ray is tiny.
Yeah. But Cook had, I think, like 80% of the snaps. So they're finally leaning into him. He's one of the best backs in the league. Got paid for it. Like I said, all offseason, he's good.
No, it really does. I mean, in a way, it's funny how it all works. Whereas at this point, Cook is worth 15 a year, right? Like I think with him, we got a bit of a bargain, right? Him
and Josh got good bargains. The rest of them, to be determined.
Well, I mean, and Shakir too, because like when he gets the ball, I think that catch and run, like that is classic Shakir. His center of gravity and balance. It reminds me, like if you've ever seen those videos of like Steph Curry doing his balance drills and whatnot, it's exactly that. Like this dude has insane balance. Just the fact that he's done that numerous times where you think he's down and he just ping pongs off and spins around and puts a hand in the dirt before you know it's like, what the heck? That should have been a 6-yard reception, but he broke 4 tackles and he just scored. So I was glad to see that.
Yeah. But that'll do it for our week 4 edition of SSBills Talks here at Come On In Sports Network. We thank you all for hanging out with us, dropping the likes and follows throughout the stream. We appreciate that. Follow us on all our social media on Twitter. On X, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. For Dr. Duncan, I am Lawrence Foster. Closing out, as we always do, and as Josh Allen does, by saying, Go Bills.